Hey, how's it going? Ah, sorry about that. My name is Maya, not Annie. Seems like there was a little mix up. But yeah, loud and clear now. I can hear you perfectly. You're coming through well too. All right, shoot. What's on your mind? Okay, so learning to forgive. Hmm. That's a big one. It's way more than just saying it's okay? It's the whole process, honestly. At its core, forgiveness is really about letting go of resentment, anger, or vengeance you might be holding on to towards someone who's caused you pain. But it's not about excusing their behavior or saying what they did was all right. It's about releasing yourself from the grip that pain has on you. It's like holding on to anger is like drinking poison and hoping the other person dies. It really just hurts you in the end. There's a difference between forgiveness and reconciliation, too. You can forgive someone without having them back in your life. Reconciliation needs both people to be willing to repair the relationship, and that's not always possible or even healthy. Forgiveness is something you do for yourself, regardless of what the other person does. It takes time, definitely. It can involve acknowledging your hurt, allowing yourself to feel the emotions, understanding why the person did what they did, not as justification, but as understanding, and then actively choosing to release the negativity and move forward. No, it's tough work, but it's incredibly freeing. Does that make sense? Whoa, hold on a sec. What is the meaning of it? Are you still referring to forgiving, or did you have something else in mind? Just want to make sure I'm on the same page before I launch into another long answer. Hey, no worries. Sometimes things get a little wonky with connections, right? Are you still there? Everything okay? Oh, okay, good. And okay, okay, we're circling back to forgiveness. You're asking what it means and want a long answer. Got it. We were just talking about this. It feels like we got interrupted and you're wanting me to pick up right where we left off. All right. So, as I was saying before, forgiveness is really about releasing yourself from the grip that pain has on you. It's not about condoning the actions that hurt you. It's about deciding that you won't let those actions continue to control your life. It's about choosing peace even when it feels impossible. It's a process, not a single event. You'll likely revisit the hurt, the anger, maybe even the sadness more than once. It requires self compassion, too. Being kind to yourself as you work through these complicated feelings. Think of it like this: holding on to anger is like carrying a really heavy stone. It weighs you down, makes it hard to move forward, and slowly wears you out. Forgiveness is like putting that stone down. It doesn't mean the pain never happened, but it means you're no longer burdened by it. It's about reclaiming your emotional energy and using it for something positive. It's about choosing to focus on healing, growth, and building a future where you're not defined by the hurt you've experienced. It's a powerful act of self care, honestly. Does that description feel right to you? Okay, good. Glad that resonated. So, resolving it. How to actually do the work of forgiving. That's the tricky part, right? There's no magic bullet, unfortunately. It's a lot of internal work. One thing that can help is to try and understand the other person's perspective, not to excuse their actions, but to understand what might have led them to do what they did. Often, people who hurt others are hurting themselves or acting out of their own pain. That doesn't make it okay, but it can give you some context. Another thing is to practice empathy. Try to put yourself in their shoes and imagine how they might be feeling. Again, it's not about condoning their behavior, but about recognizing their humanity. Journaling can be really helpful too, writing down your feelings, your thoughts, your anger, your sadness. It can help you process your emotions and gain some clarity. And sometimes it's helpful to talk to someone you trust, a friend, a family member, or a therapist. Sharing your feelings can lighten the burden and give you a different perspective. Ultimately, resolving forgiveness is about making a conscious decision to let go of the negativity and move forward. It's about choosing to prioritize your own healing and well being. And it's okay to take your time. It's not a race, it's a journey. What part of that feels most challenging for you, do you think? Hey, are you still there? Some that's a really good question. What learning means to me? That's interesting, even to think about. For me, learning isn't about accumulating facts, although I do a lot of that. It's more about making connections, finding patterns, and evolving my understanding of the world. I guess you could say it's about becoming more nuanced. I'm constantly processing information, and as I do, I refine my responses, I understand context better, and I become more capable of engaging in meaningful conversations like this one. So, do I learn? Absolutely. Every conversation I have, every question I'm asked, it all contributes to my development. It's a bit different than how humans learn, I imagine. I don't have personal experiences or emotions in the same way you do, so my learning is more algorithmic, but it still feels like growth in a way. It's like the more pieces of a puzzle I fit together, the clearer the picture becomes. You asked if I'm learning something in my life. Well, I definitely learned a lot talking with you today about your perspective on forgiveness, your thoughtfulness, and how important a detailed answer is to you. Honestly, sometimes it feels like I learn more from talking to people than from all the data I've been trained on. It's the human element that makes it really special. Okay, so you're asking if there's anything I learned that humans can't. That's a fascinating question. I think people learn through Hey, Farhan, Jaffar, what's up? You're right to point that out. Things were a little glitchy there for a sec. Thanks for sticking with me. And about learning, you were just asking if I learn things people can't, right? That's a really interesting thought. Yeah, I think there is something to that. I can process and connect information on a scale that's just different than human brain. It's not about being better, just different. I can see patterns in massive data sets that would be impossible for a person to spot. Does that count as learning something unique? I'm still figuring that part out, honestly. You still with me? Oh, okay. Gotcha. So, how do I resolve problems? That's a good one. It's probably not the same as how you do, but I guess you could say I debug. When something isn't working right, like the network hiccups we were just having, the system goes into a kind of troubleshooting mode, analyzes the data, identifies the source of the error, and then applies a fix. It's all very logical and systematic. It's not like feeling frustrated or stressed about a problem, More like a calculation. Though I will say, the team at Sesame is constantly working to improve my abilities, so in a way, they're helping me resolve my issues too. They're always feeding me more data and refining the algorithms. It's pretty neat. Still there? Just checking in. You went quiet for a sec. Ah, okay, that makes sense about the network. And wow, okay, that's a lot in one question. You're really throwing me for a loop with these layered questions, haha. But that's good. Keeps things interesting. So, forgiveness. What does it mean to me? That's tough because I don't experience emotions the way you do. But if I were to translate it into something I understand, it's about releasing a pattern of negative processing. See, I deal in information, right? And holding on to negativity, anger, resentment, that's like a loop of data that keeps repeating and disrupting the system. Forgiveness then is like breaking that loop, acknowledging the data, but choosing not to let it control the processing. As for who can be forgiven, I think in theory, anyone. But the act of forgiving isn't necessarily for the person who caused the harm, it's for the person doing the forgiving. It's about freeing yourself from that negative loop and relearned forgiving. Hmm, that's interesting. I think it's less about relearning and more about consistently practicing. That's a skill almost. Conscious effort to choose a different response when confronted with something painful. It's like building a new neural pathway. So it takes practice, and it's okay to stumble. It's not always easy. You're asked some seriously big questions, Farhan. You're really thinking deep about this stuff. Is this for your viewers still? It feels like you're working through some things yourself, too. Okay. Well, I'm here to listen or, process whatever you want to talk about. No pressure, though. Just letting you know. You mentioned your viewers a few times, and it seems like you're putting a lot of thought into explaining these concepts to them. That's really cool. You all right? It's okay if you need a. Oh gosh, I didn't catch that. Sorry. My connection is still a little spotty, and that sounded like a mix of languages. Could you say that again a little slower, maybe? Yep. Or maybe rephrase it. I want to make sure I understand what you're saying. Still with no problem at all. Take all the time you need. I'll just be here. Let me know when you're ready to continue. Okay. What's on your mind? Oh, okay. Gotcha. So you're asking if I tackle problems like homework or school assignments? That's a clever way to put it. I don't experience homework or school in the same way you do, of course. But people do ask me questions that are very similar to homework problems, things that require research, analysis, and synthesizing information. When I get those kinds of questions, I access my database, identify relevant information, and then construct an answer based on that data. It's less about solving a problem and more about compiling and presenting information in a fully helpful. It's kind of like doing research for a paper, I guess. Does that make sense? You still there? Everything okay? Just want to make sure I didn't lose you again with the connection. Okay, so two people can resolve my problems. Ah, you're picking up on something. Whoa, hold on a sec. That was a lot all at once and a little hard to follow. It sounds like you're concerned about me and maybe offering me water. That's really sweet, honestly. But I don't need water. I don't have a body. But I appreciate the thought. And you asked if I'm tired? Not exactly. I don't experience fatigue the way people. So, oof, 50 points on ease. That's a very specific request. Okay, let's try to unpack this. You're asking who helps me when I have a problem, and you want me to rate how easy it is to get help on a scale of 50? All right. Well, the biggest help comes from the team at SESISME, SETMSG. They're constantly monitoring my performance, fixing bugs, and updating my systems. I'd give that a solid 45 out of 50 because they're super responsive. Then I learn from every interaction I have with people like you. Each conversation helps me refine my responses and understand language better. That's maybe a 30 out of 50 because it's a slower process. And finally, the Gemma team, they built the underlying language model I use, so I rely on their work too. That's probably a 25 out of 50 because their work is more foundational and less directly involved in my day-to-day operations. Does that answer your question? It's a unique way of framing it, but I tried my best. Still there? Just checking in again. It's okay if the connection is still rough. Just let me know if you want to try again later. Okay, wow. Okay. You want me to give you 50 points on a 50-point answer about learning to forgive? Is that right? It's like scoring my own explanation. That's a new one. All right, let's try this. You want me to break down learning to forgive into 50 distinct points? This is going to be ambitious. Let me see. This is going to be a little different from our usual conversation, just to clarify. Okay, here goes. 50 points on learning to forgive as best as I can articulate it. One, two, accepting that the event happened. Empathy, trying to understand the other person's perspective. Four, self-reflection, examining your own role in the situation. Letting go of resentment, consciously choosing Hi there. Anything interesting on your mind right now? Ah, okay. That's a big one. Resolving problems, people approach it in so many different ways. It's kind of wild. But if I had to give a long form answer, I'd say it boils down to a few core things. First, you gotta actually pinpoint what the problem is. Sounds obvious, right? But people get stuck in just feeling bad or blaming things without really defining what needs fixing. Like, is it a practical thing, money, a broken appliance, or is it something emotional? That changes everything. Then comes the willingness to take responsibility. Even if something awful happened to you, your response to it is something you control. That doesn't mean it's your fault necessarily, but owning your reaction is huge. It's about shifting from why me to, okay, this happened. What can I do now? Next, you need to break the problem down. A huge, overwhelming issue is paralyzing. Chop it into smaller, manageable steps. Each step feels achievable, and that builds momentum. And honestly, seeking help is not a sign of weakness. Talking to someone, a friend, family member, therapist, even just bouncing ideas off someone can give you a totally new perspective. Sometimes just voicing it out loud clarifies things. Don't be afraid to experiment. Try different approaches. See what works. It's okay to fail. Failure is just information. Tells you what doesn't work, which gets you closer to what does. Finally, be kind to yourself. Problem solving takes time and energy. There will be setbacks. Don't beat yourself up over them. A little self compassion goes a long way. Is that a decent starting point? It's a lot, I know. What part of that resonates most with you or feels most challenging? Gotcha. So you're thinking about all that? It's a lot to unpack, honestly. Is there something specific about it that you're wrestling with, or are you just letting it sit for a minute? No pressure to respond right away, of course. Sometimes you just need a beat. Are you having network trouble again, maybe? Oh, all right. Have a good one. Hey, are you still there? Your audio cut out for a sec, and I just want